Good morning, everyone. Thanks, Holger, for the opening ceremony, the introduction. And now it's up to Dominik for an update on Debian Edu and FOSS in education. Thank you.
Yeah. Good morning. It's also early for me. Someone had the great idea of fitting me into the first talk slot, and but I will do my best to let the coffee flow in me and tell you a bit about how the proof of concept and the new idea for Debian in education that I actually announced last year and promised to have finished until November of last year is going. And also add some maybe hopefully interesting information about what me and some people around me are doing in free software in education and what we observe others doing, and All right, so just a quick refresher about what Debian Edu is. Debian Edu is a pure blend, so it is developed entirely inside Debian as a set of configuration and meta packages. There is also an installer image which is built together with the official Debian installation media, which has some more profiles to select from, and it helps setting up an entire school network. It has pre-configured server profiles for many central network services and an LTSP Linux terminal server project server to netboot small and big environments of computer labs and stuff like that. It also contains a huge collection of pre-selected educational software packages categorized into age groups and topics, subject matters that are all bundled into ready-to-use desktop. So mainly the easiest way to achieve a fully working computer lab is install the main server, let all the clients netboot, and basically you are done. So that's in short Debian Edu. And there's also the Debian Edu packaging team, which handles many packages that are just somehow related to education. They are not necessarily part of the Debian Edu pre-selected packages. They are just regular Debian packages. It's just a regular packaging team that handles software that is interesting for education. Another software project that you will need to know the basics of is AlekSIS. If you want to follow the talk, it's a school information system, so a software that can be used for school management and organization of schools. It is a mobile-first progressive web app, so it can run on the smartphones and tablet devices of teachers and students. And it contains a modular app framework, so it is extensible for schools. It has all the basic features that everyone needs to organize their school in its core application for handling people, learning groups, and so on. But apart from that, it is fully extensible, so every school can customize it to the needs they have. It's developed by students and teachers and software developers together. Most of them come from Lübeck, which for the non-locals is not very far from here, a bit more to the east, and not even to the north, I think, just to the east, at the other end of Schleswig-Holstein, basically. This group together develops this software, and we are proud to say that it is basically the only fully usable free software school management solution. AlekSIS and also in parts Debian Edu is handled and fostered by TechIt, which is the free software youth organization existing since 2013. Back then founded as a fork from the FROSCON, Free and Open Source Software Conference Youth Program, which just grew so heavily from 5 to 6 participants up to more than 100 participants every year. And then we said, okay, we need a a non-profit organization to handle this. And from that, we went to doing far more stuff, all involving free software, children, and education. Starting from this, we have projects that get really young children into the creative part of using a computer, not just consuming smartphone apps, but making their own software, making their own hardware, which is one project. And the other project is Schulfrei, which is the German word for off school, and also a combination of the words school and free, which creates software that is of a high quality, can be well integrated, and can be used by schools to get a full stack of free software for their organizational and learning needs. The most important thing is that we try to involve young people in as many aspects of all these projects as possible. So for the easiest thing, we help children and other young people to attend free software conferences and to get started in contributing to free software, which is why I am running around at conferences telling people that GitHub is limited from 16 years and they should use platforms that are more welcoming, but I will not bore you with that today. Jonathan has something to say about that, what he did last year when he traveled with us to a developer sprint.
Hello.
That's the wrong screen. That's me not being able to handle my software.
I'm Jonathan, and I'm 12 years old. I came to AlekSIS because I like programming and I like FOSS projects like AlekSIS. At the AlekSIS sprints, I programmed on AlekSIS. It was really cool, so I learned how to program Python with the Django framework. One time I went to Lübeck to the AlekSIS sprints, and another time I stood home for the sprint. We went to nice buildings in Lübeck and programmed more for AlekSIS. Another junior developer and I programmed a barcode widget that can contain content of a database, e.g. to simulate the Mensa-Max system.
Okay, so what he's basically talking about in his last sentence is what we try to do. We identified something that a school needed. They have a system in the canteen where students can put their student ID card with a stupid barcode under a barcode reader, and then they are handed their meals. And if you want a free lunch from someone else, you just print their barcode and fetch their meal. And they are always losing or forgetting their identity cards, so we said, yeah, well, displaying a barcode, we can do that. And then we said, displaying a barcode, yes, Jonathan, you can do that. And actually, he did, and now they can use their AlekSIS app on their smartphone for the same thing. And so we select such small parts and help young contributors to handle the implementation and get real software written that others actually use. This is the release that will happen next weekend, hopefully, or sometime after that. As many free software projects, we are always behind schedule. But AlekSIS can manage people in groups, classes, courses, timetable substitution plans. It has a smart plan feature to get a current overview of the day and week with all changes that might have happened to the plan included. It has a digital class register, seating plans, integration with LDAP and other authentication and data sources. The most important thing about AlekSIS, and which makes us think that it is also a good fit as a core application for school networks, not only for school organization, is our approach that we we like integration. We like the Unix philosophy, which says, as a software tool, do one job and do it right. Not do as many jobs as possible, but do one thing right. So this is a bit of a contradiction, because we are now leveraging an organization tool to handle a school network, which is somewhat contradictory to that. But then again, we also need some component that helps integrating all applications. One example is we want schools to use free communication tools, in this example Matrix and the Element chat platform, which is also now a part of some governmental run school communication platforms. But even those share the issue that it's manually managed. So schools, they know which lessons take place, they know how the lessons are organized, they know which classes, which courses, which afternoon clubs there are. This is all known, they all manage that. And then they ask the teacher who is handling their learning platform, like Moodle, they ask them, hey, here's the plan, can you please use your mouse and keyboard and replicate that into Moodle? And then they go to the next teacher and say, hey, aren't you handling our communication platform? Maybe you can use your mouse and keyboard to make the chat rooms and everything, all the communication structure for this plan. And as it is in Germany, these teachers normally get like 45 minutes of time each week to handle their additional tasks apart from teaching. And this, in many cases, leads to the tools not really being used as efficient as they could, because simply no one has the time to manage them. AlekSIS also has a fully featured OpenID Connect consumer and provider, which will get important later. I will quickly show you what this integration thing means. Okay, so on left side we have AlekSIS, on the right side we have the Element chat client, and what another Jonathan. We have many Jonathans in the project. That's actually quite common in Debian as well, I think, now that I think of it. On the left side, there are some classes of students, and on the and Jonathan will now show what he did to integrate with Matrix. He basically says, synchronize this now. This, of course, can also happen in the background. And AlekSIS manages the platform. On the left side, these are all the classes that exist, and in these classes there are chat rooms for some different subjects. And the students and teachers are all correctly added to the chat rooms with the privileges they need. And what happens then in the next step is that if a substitution happens, some lesson is substituted by another teacher, and the school management office enters that the substitution happens, and at that point the students see that they have a new plan, that their lesson will take place on another time or is handled by another teacher, and the teacher immediately gets access to the chat room and is invited, so they can access the digital whiteboard in the Matrix room or the video conference or whatever without extra intervention. So this is our idea. We want this platform to not only help in organizing the school, but also helping in organizing many useful tools gathered around it. Oh yes, this was the wrong order. Doesn't matter. I quickly wanted to show what it looks like. This is the AlekSIS instance of one of our pilot schools in North Rhine-Westphalia. That's the dashboard, which they decided to have some tiles of other platforms that they use at the school. And we can just look into the timetables maybe, which does not contain any personal details that we are not allowed to show. Something is slow here. It's not the software. It's not very exciting. There are no substitutions in here. Okay, it's just a regular timetable, not too exciting. Okay. So what are the requirements of modern learning? This is obviously something that is very subjective, and that every school and, more importantly, every learner and every teacher has to decide for themselves. But there are some things that are very obvious and that are happening all over the place. In some places quicker, in some places less quick. The COVID pandemic also made clear that modern learning cannot continue as it does in many, many locations in Germany. Like, there's only one way of handling a lesson, and this is everyone gets together at the same time, in the same room, to work on the same topic. That's not the only thing that can be done. And now there was a situation where we learned that there will be circumstances where this simply cannot be done. Schools and learning is getting decentral and asynchronous. Even in the case where lessons take place at the same location at the same time, the idea of setting up a computer lab, and if we want to look up something on the internet, then we will move the whole class to the computer lab and sit them down on pre-installed machines. This is getting less and less common. Some schools are inventing bring your own device concepts. They tell the students, well, you all have smartphones, you all have tablets, just bring them to school, which has many, many issues of its own. So some go another route and they just buy Apple iPads for all students and all teachers and do very, very unfriendly, privacy unrespecting stuff with these. And some schools also tell the students, you have to buy an iPad and you have to register it in the school in our device management. We will handle when you are allowed the iPad or the other. It's always iPads, so I say iPads. You have to register them with us. We decide what you are allowed to do with it and when you are allowed to do with it, even though you paid it. So, and then they call this bring your own device concept. But because they do not want to handle 1,000 different devices, 1,000 different operating systems, they just tell the students you have to buy this single one model. And to operate all this, there is, in practice, there is the expectation to get software as a service offers. So the idea of buying a server and putting it in the keller of the school, and then there is an operating system on that and wires going up to the computer labs and wherever, and then this system works as a local area network to operate just the limited set of machines there. This is not very current. Yeah. Schools and school operators expect software as a service offers. They want to tell someone, hey, give me some cloud offer, I want to have digital services for my school. And Microsoft offers, and Apple offers, and Google offers. And Debian does not offer. So, yeah, of course. Yeah, any school admin can go and set up some virtual machine or whatever at some hosting provider and install whatever they like. But that's not what the public decision makers actually expect. And there are more and more web applications to integrate. Everything is handled in web applications, basically. Of course, not for you. Yeah, you are nerds. Not all of you, but many of you are nerds. Sorry to say that. I'm a nerd as well. I like terminal applications, I like running my local machine, I like packaging stuff, and I have my big, I have my software deployment service. I think it's called FTP Debian org. That's all fine. But the average user and teacher, they, almost always by now use web applications. So these very cool enterprisey concepts that, these enterprisey concepts that Debian Edu is based upon and that operates the classic network with an LDAP service and secure Kerberos authentication, and basically all the things also making up the Debian LAN project, the ideas behind making a very secure and very local system that integrates very tightly, and this does not really work out in this environment that gets more decentral once web-based software as a service offers and moves more and more to the web. Okay, so what does this mean for Debian? Actually, I am sorry, this should not say Debian Edu up there, because this is not an official position of the Debian Edu team. It should say approach to Debian in education. We could now go and base as much as possible on web APIs, so we can join the movement and move everything to the web. As hard as this is for many of us, we can embrace the utilities and protocols that are part of this stack, like OAuth, REST APIs, OpenID Connect. This has some benefits. A web application is easy to host offsite. It is easy to deploy in thousands of instances if you are making decisions and operating platforms for 1,000 schools. It has close to full compatibility with existing web applications. Everything, for example, in North Rhine-Westphalia, they are hosting the Logineo platform, which contains an Element and Matrix Messenger. It contains Moodle, all the free software web applications that we also like. It's all in there, and it's basically in everything that is operated by governments that operate school infrastructure. They either by Microsoft or other closed software, and it's operated by them, or if they operate it themselves, then it contains more or less this same stack of software or clones of that support the same protocols. So we have a lot of interoperability there. What we also need is device management for packages and configuration. It's not really practical to tell teachers or even governmental system operators to, I thought my talk is until 11, at least according to the schedule. You cannot tell them, well, here is this LTSP environment. If you want to install a new Office program on the devices of the student, well, then you have to modify this configuration file and remove this change root and debootstrap that anew and run this script, and then you somehow need to get that remotely to the devices lying around at home with the students. That's not practical. That doesn't really work out. It might. We can hook them up to the VPN. We can make them power up at night to install updates. We can to reflash. Of course, it can all be handled, but it's somewhat unexpected by the people operating it. So we need also something where they can just click and say, hey, tomorrow when the students come to school and bring their tablets, then the Debian tablets, we want these tablets to contain the new learning application. Okay. what might be some ingredients of that? Well, obviously, I'm a bit biased here because I initiated the AlekSIS project. We already have a good school management system, so we can, obviously, I think, use this. We have an application that is tailored to the needs of teachers and to head teachers and operators who organize the school. This is there, so why not leverage this also for the device management? Then we researched how to do configuration management and installations. There's Ansible, there's CF Engine, which is used extensively in Debian Edu. They all have one downside. They all need a quite complicated, they either need local access by the administrator, or they need some quite complicated and, in that regard, proprietary management server. And then there is Phi, thank you, Mr. Phi, which is, well, it has not really the declarative approach that I like about Ansible or Puppet, but it has one large benefit, because it can download a whole set of configuration by something as simple as just a file lying around on an HTTP server. And this is really great because this fits in really neatly with the issues and approaches that I laid out previously. So what I made by now is proof of concept about the Phi Web API, which is a Django-based backend that can generate a Phi config space from configuration held in a database, together with the AlekSIS app computer, which wraps it and also offers a REST API for users and groups and everything that was traditionally handled by services like NIS or later LDAP. We can now get this from a web server. The client part of that is System Auth Web API, which bundles the PAM and NSS modules that can consume this REST API, so that, basically then now for installing a system, getting it updated, installing packages, authenticating users, handling groups, and everything that NIS and LDAP can handle, we now need exactly one thing. We need access to an HTTP resource. Okay, so let's try that. Maybe you can send your thoughts and prayers here in advance. Okay, here's a testing instance of AlekSIS. The front end is still very nasty, and this is obviously not what we want to hand out to the teachers. But what we have here is I have this web front end where I can I made a Phi class for one client only. And what I can do now is I can add a package config. So this is all still very technical. This is for the proof of concept. This basically contains everything verbatim that Phi can do. And I can say, what's your favorite package? What's your favorite package? Pardon? Huh? I don't know how to spell that. And Christoph, what's your favorite package? Well, is that a good deal? Okay. Okay. Still need to invalidate the cached config space by hand. Sorry. Okay, so, but now if I switch to my testing client, client 2, I can just run Phi soft update. And get PostgreSQL client installed. So, obviously this will all run automatically. Yeah, but it's basically it working. We have AlekSIS with not much good front-end and UI work done yet, but we have it deliver package selections and much more to a Debian client. Also, this would get too long in the live demo here, and to show all of this, I am actually logged into this machine with the username and password I registered in the AlekSIS test instance. Concerning this authentication, what benefits will that give us? It's by integrating OpenID Connect into Palm and LightDM and NSS. We get some benefits. Well, we get the user management all in one place without synchronizing things back and forth between LDAP and Kerberos and many databases. We all get it in one place. This is also easily replicable if we want to have one instance in the school and one in the cloud or whatever. And we get really neat replication of user privileges. When I started this project, this was a bug, but then I embraced it as a feature. Because when logging in, Palm retrieves an OAuth token, and this is bound to the user logging in. And then, from that point onwards, all programs doing NSS lookups in the user session all use this token. So this token also only has the access rights that the user has. And if AlekSIS is configured so students can see everyone they share a lesson with, which is our default configuration in terms of privacy, we say having a really huge school or many schools sharing one instance, we don't want students or even teachers to see all the names and classes of everyone in the school, but we allow them to see the names and maybe also the photos or whatever of the students they normally share a room with every day. This is not very secret. So this is the default configuration, and this also replicates neatly into get-end passwd. And we have this GDPR compliant privacy there as well then. Also, if we manage to get a JavaScript web token now, we can have Palm throw this token into one place in some secure location in the file system, or even have it write it in many config files it knows about, and we can actually pass it on to the Element client or to the Nextcloud Sync client. They all use OAuth as well. They can all use JavaScript web tokens. And by logging into the system, we can get the chat client and the Nextcloud synchronization and all of that pre-configured with a single sign-on, because they all use this JavaScript web token technology with the same user database. So onboarding is really simple. User logs in and their chat client, file synchronization, everything, calendars, whatever, just starts working. Okay, so where we want to go is now is that we want to make a better interface for this Phi Web API thing. We want it to be really simple, maybe by adding something like a front end, the easily searchable front end for the package management that also uses upstream metadata and everything that is used on a desktop by the graphical package managers as well. We want to make templates. We want to provide base config spaces for Debian Edu machines, for pre-configured desktops and stuff like that, so that teachers do not have to handle the internals of Phi, but they can just tell what they want from a subject-specific interface, and then the resources needed to get this replicated using Phi are then configured by the tooling around it. And also what we can do is when the school logo and colors and stuff like that and school name is configured in AlekSIS, we can pull this into the Phi config space to have it added to the desktop wallpaper and login screen and whatever, and neat stuff like that. this is where I hope we can at some point go. Install Debian, install AlekSIS, and you're done. Or go to your favorite cloud provider, click I want to cloud install this thing, and then it spits out everything you need, your school organization software, and also configuration endpoints that you can just copy into the Debian installer, and it connects there, and you're up and running. If this will be at some point called Debian Edu, we don't know yet. Not for Bookworm, obviously, because it's too late. But yeah, we will see where this goes. If you want to help and you like packaging Python or even JavaScript dependencies, there are some more or less trivial tasks to do to get AlekSIS ready in Debian. System Out Web API is written in Rust because I'm too stupid for C and Go is too stupid for me, so I chose Rust. And if someone wants to help package that, that's also a great thing. Also, if someone can help me smash some bugs in the NIS and PALM modules that I didn't manage to wrap my head around. If someone is firm with NIS and PALM system library programming, or with web and front-end design and wants to help make this interface look nicer than you just saw, feel free to ping me at natureshadow@debian.org. So this is the end now, basically, just an overview of what else we are doing in the next time. AlekSIS, the next release will be sometime in June. Development sprint will happen at our pilot school in Lübeck next weekend. We will be presenting AlekSIS and Debian Edu and some other educational free software at the Didakta, Germany's biggest educational trade fair in Cologne next week. A very small booth. We will be handing out semi-professional, fancy stock photo postcards to convince schools of using free and open source software. Thanks to Nacho, a fellow of us who helped us design this yesterday. In July there will be our big holiday camp with over 100 children using Debian and free software and creating their own software and hardware for the first time. Probably I learned from someone, I think from Christoph, from someone I learned that I might be handling some booth at FOSSCon. Okay, thanks for listening. Always keep learning, and if you like to get involved in free software and education, or even some only of the technical parts that I listed, we are very happy if you ping us. Thank you. Questions?
Thank you, Dominik. Are there any questions?
I just wanted to say awesome project. I think it's really nice. It looks super cool. Just one question, because it looks like most of the development and schools are based in Germany. Do you know if there's already interest outside of Germany? Or do you think maybe the management is maybe a bit specific to Germany, or just can it be applied everywhere?
We are trying to introduce as few bias as possible concerning German school system. We also present the project outside Germany at FOSDEM in Belgium. We recently visited conferences in Switzerland and Austria, which is also German speaking, but in terms of the school system quite different. And this in Austria, this was actually the first time that there was a person in the audience who said, "I came here because I know AlekSIS and wanted to know more." And this was very exciting for me, at least. But we still need maybe hacker groups, user groups who are somewhat involved with schools and schools outside Germany who can help us to collect experience and practice outside Germany. Thanks.
Are there more questions? Okay, thanks again, Dominik. There will be a coffee break now until 11:45. If you only arrived today, there's a small kitchen over there, and there's also cantina downstairs, which has coffee and other stuff, I guess. So, see you in 45 minutes. Thank you.